Alright, so it's the following morning, and after I sprayed the main body and the nose cone, here's the assessment. We'll start with the nose cone. The nose cone came out looking amazing, except for one little spot where it ran, because I fooled myself. The way that I was spraying, I don't know if you can see that. I mean, it's not really super noticeable, but it's there, and I know it's there. There's a run right there. If you can see, like, that bumping. See, I was like chasing that, and it was kind of warm out. And look, when I noticed that, I ain't gonna lie, I cut the camera and I let out a few expletively deleted choice words. My neighbors are probably concerned, but anyways, it happened because I was literally chasing it, and I should have stopped while I was ahead, and I put too much on. That's really what happened. But you know what? I'm pretty sure it could be fixed. I'm going to wait a couple days, probably a week or so, and I'm going to wet sand this with probably, I don't know, let's say I might start with 1000 grit and smooth it out. And I may or may not put one more coat on. But I don't know if I'm going to clear coat these or not, because it seems like the clear coat thing is what ruins these finishes. I do have some, the Rustoleum clear coat, but it seems like it's more trouble than it's worth, unless you wait a long time for all the solvents to leak out, dry up. And that's what I think was happening yesterday as I was putting this on. And it's not even tacky right now, and I of course let it stay outside pretty much till it got dark. But as I was rolling it, it just appeared, I guess, where it was laying or probably starting to bunch up, that it was that kind of bubbled up, not shiny, wet look. This look right here. And I think, pushing it as I was spraying it. It was pushing it as I was laying another spray of coat on it. Yeah, so this right here otherwise came out great. I mean, for my standards, heck, I mean, I could probably even leave that alone, to be honest. But I do want to try and experiment with wet sanding, so it'll probably dull up the finish a little bit. But if I could just smooth that out and then probably hit it with maybe one more light coat, hopefully one more paint stroke won't ruin the painting, but I've got a week to think about it. Now, for the main body tube. This, with the universal bonding primer, a lot of the thicker spots seem to have flattened out and either been absorbed or it shrunk, and this actually filled in the spirals pretty decently. I'm not exactly sure how that paint works, primer, but here's the other side here, and you can see that it laid pretty flat as in the color, but the runs and stuff flattened out is what I mean. And I probably should have been spraying it a lot farther away. My other concern was, is this sandable? And I literally had to go to Amazon to see, like, a review that somebody left that they were able to sand it. Now, I'm pretty sure anything's sandable, but I'm talking ease of sanding. Is it going to cake up? Is it going to bunch up? Is it going to powder up like the gray primer does, the filler? But this is the result the next morning. I am going to sand this here shortly and put on a gray coat. I'm going to sand this till I start seeing gray. All right, I'll catch you on a little bit. All right, let's try sand this a little bit, huh? Take some of the old 400. Fresh sheet. Start with this. Now, this is going to be the moment of truth for this because I really don't know how sandable this white bonding primer is. And I'm going to tell you, that is not sanding worth the crap. Maybe it is a little bit. Okay, I spoke too soon. Maybe it's not as sandable or sanding friendly. But I already bought the dang can, it's what I got. So, is that we're getting down to the gray already? Look at there. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see that. There. That's what we wanted. Okay. And of course, this is the next morning. I didn't wait a whole full day. It's powdering up pretty good. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon. This is not a competition rocket, so I'm not worried about weight. Those spirals, I could keep priming it probably till they do fill in. But I think I'm just gonna learn from that and keep going with this. Yeah, they do bother me. They're there. But I'm telling you, when I was putting the Bondo on it, it wasn't sticking to that as good. So maybe all future builds, maybe we'll just go ahead and take the time to fill those in. I think it'll be okay. Alright, I'll see you in a minute. Let me get some of this sanded. So we're about 5 minutes into sanding. This is as far as I've gotten so far. I started doing some of this part. I got all this. I don't know if that's too far down or not. I mean, I definitely do want to keep some of the white, so when we put the next layer of gray on, we're going to be seeing white when we sand, so I don't want to go too far down. I got to tell you, that right there is baby powder smooth. I do got to give it a good wipe. Alright, so I gave it a good wipe, just with a dry paper towel. And this is where we are. Just working our way this way. I'm trying to do the circles, but it's not working for me so good. And this right, I'm going to tell you, this it's really not clogging up this the toilet paper, the sandpaper. Speaking of white toilet paper, ha ha ha. But anyways, keep this going. I'm trying to do the circles, but it's just not. I don't know. I just can't get the hang of that, I guess, and stay consistent with it. I'm trying not to go too deep. I do want to continue to see white for the most part. Because I don't want to see gray, really. I mean, maybe a little bit of gray. But that's just letting you know that you're going too deep. And of course, like I said, we don't want to see gray when we're putting the gray on it. We want to see white. The next layer of gray, we won't know if we're seeing gray again. So I don't want to go too deep. But I'm pretty sure that this thing is being smoothed out, because it definitely feels smooth to the touch. So maybe the universal bonding primer ain't so bad. I was stressing it, like, man, is this stuff even going to be sandable at all? Is it just going to gum up and just ball up and like some spray paint does? You know what I'm talking about. Or maybe you don't. That's why they say never spray paint a car, because the guy that's going to redo your paint job and have to sand it all off is going to hate your guts. I've heard horror stories. Cars and rockets might be similar when it comes to painting, but there are differences. So I can kind of go circular on the fins, but the body tube is just kind of not working for me. I'm starting to see the gray a little bit. I think that's where I'm going to back off. Kind of hit the edges because I don't think I was hitting the edges very good. These little small areas, circular, yeah, that's probably where it's at. Constantly blowing it off. See what you're doing. This is still a little rough, and I can see gray here. But I'm gonna turn the rocket around like this, and then I'm gonna do that side. It'll be easier for me. All right, I'll come back to you in a minute. I really do think I'm starting to become a believer. So I've worked my way this way. This is still a little thick. I could probably work some more here. It's still a little rough right here. But what I have sanded, this edge here and the leading edge, trailing edge, this right here is just so smooth to the touch. It's satisfying. It's nice. It's like, ooh, that's smooth. So I'm starting to become a believer. This might work, guys. I'm gonna keep on working at it. Got some of that done. Got all this smoothed out. I think that this part's done. I'll start working my way around to the other fins. I did this edge here, well, this fin, and I'm just kind of work my way towards this way. I got a smaller strip, I got a fresh strip. Might make it a little easier to do the circular thing. But I do like to feather out. That's just the way that I like to sand, apparently. And I don't like doing too small because I think I just stay in one spot too much. So I like to do bigger. Work big to small, right? Get your little detailed areas later. I haven't touched none of this yet, except for that. This is definitely needs some work. This is where we had a run, and it's there, but I think that's going to smooth out. I think it'll be all right. Almost $13 a can for this bonding primer. It is sanding okay. At first I thought it was not. I can imagine it'd be really rough if you didn't wait at all. As in, let it dry for a good amount of time, like at least overnight like I did. Starting to warm up now. Bad thing for me, good thing for the paint and the rockets. I got stuff drying, other nose cones from other projects. I'm actually filming a lot of stuff at the same time. And if you really watch my videos, you could probably tell what order I've done things in. And it's definitely all out of order. Alright, we're going to keep on keeping on. Alright, in case you haven't figured out, I do live out in the country. So you might hear some cows and all kinds of animals in the background. I live next to a bunch of farms. Sanded that a little bit. It's still rough. I'd have to test fit the retainer, see where we're at with that. If it's too loose or But we are going to put a pretty good amount of JB Weld on there. I've sanded this end, these are all sanded. And now we're working this, and this is sanded. I think we're about ready to, after this is done, we'll be ready to move on to the, hopefully, final coat of gray. I could probably prime it till I get it how I want it. But my original intention was to do 3 coats of primer, 3 coats of paint, and then maybe clear coat, maybe, I don't know. But after the paint's on, we're gonna put the water slide decals on, and that's that. Get a good shot of the aft end right there. Speaking of aft end, well, I'll tell you in a second. Yeah, this is all looking smooth. This is looking rough, but that don't matter. Speaking of aft end, I'm thinking about naming my channel Half-Aft Rocketry. Right now, I was going to name it Domo Roboto because I'm into electronics and hobby stuff besides rocketry. It was just going to be a hobby channel, but I think I'm just going to focus on rocketry on this channel. At least for now. We'll see. But it's definitely probably going to be 99% rocketry stuff. We'll get this finished up. And if the weather stays nice, which I think it is. What's the forecast for? The forecast is calling for an awesome day, so we'll see. Because if I really plan my day out good, I could go ahead and mask this off. Masking. We'll see how that goes. And I could just go ahead and start painting it. Painting the body tube red. So I'm going to do the light coat first and then the dark coat, right? That's what they say to do. Light, if you make any mistakes, the dark will cover up the light mistakes. Or vice versa, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about. See the difference here. So I haven't done that one yet. That side. Alright, stay tuned. Okay, we are done sanding, I'll say. Everything is smooth. We've got some gray showing here and there. I'm curious to see, because this is definitely going to be a lot more shallower than down here. So I'm curious to see how that's going to show up on the next primer coat. I got everything hit. Everything is very smooth to the touch. Take it inside and take another look. Right, so we're back inside. And we can see in this light a little bit better what we're working with. I've wiped it off, cleaned it off. Yeah, this is definitely a lot more shallow than these areas. You can see where I put the body tubes together. But I mean, that's smooth to the touch right now. So probably another coat of primer, and I'm telling you, it's probably gonna be all right. And these right here are actually very smooth. So I can feel that a little bit. But I'm thinking another thick coat of primer. The last coat is gonna be really thick. And wait for that to dry and sand it till we start seeing white, and we're going to put some, mask it off and start painting. Paint the body tube red first. Alright, so we're back out here. Going to put on hopefully the final coat of the gray primer. I'm gonna lay it on pretty thick. Might even do 2 coats, maybe not. See how it turns out. This is all cleaned off, prepped. I wiped it off. Still getting a little bit on my fingers though. But I did wipe it off. I'm not liking that. Maybe I need to wipe it off a little bit better. Stay tuned. I'm going to start this video back up. Gave it a real quick wiping with a slightly damp paper towel. I'm not getting really so much on my fingers anymore. So I think it'll be fine. Hopefully we can end it on this gray coat. I'll have to put another 2 coats of gray or another coat of white on there. Hopefully this is it. I'm hoping that this will get pretty covered up. We'll see. Really not worried about that area. That's going to get sanded anyways. It's actually coming off right there. It'll be alright. Hopefully. Get those lugs a little bit better. Still seeing the spirals. They're probably going to show. Some of it you're not really seeing so much. Some of it you barely see. Of course, remember I did the white a lot shallower up in this area. I sanded it quite a bit more than I did down here. So I might just go ahead and put one last thick coat of this gray on there. Sand it till I'm just barely seeing white. This is still wet. This is literally only a couple seconds after getting the primer on there. Yeah, we're gonna have that right there. Yeah, we're gonna have that right there. So I didn't fill it in. Didn't get it as smooth as possible. Yeah, we're gonna have a couple little things here and there. But get far away, it don't matter so much, right? Still gonna fly pretty good, I think. Won't win any awards, but we tried. and we've learned what we can get away with and what we can't. What do you think of that? Just hitting those spirals. We'll see how that does. It'll probably not work in our favor, but we'll try it. Probably way too thick. All I did was just hit it, just the spirals. We'll see what it looks like when it dries. That's fresh, only a couple seconds ago. So I'm out here. It's already starting to get dark, but I am going to try and get most of this sanded. I did sand some of this with the 600 grit, and I don't know if you can hear that, maybe versus this. But this is way smoother. Now, where I added a bunch of extra paint onto the spirals that I'm not really digging, I do have some work to do. I can still feel them. They're there. But I'm going to feather them out. They're already laying pretty flat. And really, to be honest, the spirals are barely visible anymore. I'm going to keep working at this and I'll come back to you in a little bit. I'm about, I don't know, to right here. So, alright, so we're at the sanding hammock. We're gonna have us a sanding party. Still gotta finish this bad boy. So I'm working on the Hi-Flier now, on and off for the last couple days, just trying to get the last bit of sanding done. We're pretty much all done. Alright, it's smooth all the way, except for a couple edges here and there, like this fin needs to be finished. And this side with the launch lugs needs to be finished. And that's really about it. Just finishing up with this 600 grit. I don't know if you can hear that. Compared to yeah, a lot smoother. Just keep working at it. So I've been prepping the Hi-Flier XL to get the body tube painted. I'm gonna follow the face card, and I'm going to paint this red. I think I'm going to do 2X, what's the apple red, and I've already done the nose cone, as you can see. And that actually came out, I'm pretty proud of that job actually. And it had a run in it, but I'm going to leave that there because it's barely noticeable. But I got these masked off with some plastic painter's mask, and I put a layer down of the green frog tape, and then I put the plastic here and then taped it down with the blue. And of course my masking jobs are not the world's best, but if you do the body tube first, which is light, and then you do the fins next, I probably didn't even have to mask off the fins yet. I could have just went ahead and hit this red and then masked off the body to paint these black. This is probably an unnecessary step. Wow. Unnecessary step. So, I'm probably being a little bit extra, you might say, because the dark will override the light color. So, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to get this one masked here soon. See if I can get some of that on camera for you, and we can try and maybe paint this red today, or soon at least. Alright, so we got to get this masked off. Probably don't have to do this, but why not? Why don't just practice this, alright? So we're going to do the green tape first. Go to length of the fins. Probably will not be an award-winning finish, but we're going to try our best. Gotta love having cats. One thing I'll never have to worry about is sleepwalkers. Got cats outside, got cats in here. I am a cat dad. Alright, so we're going to get this straight as possible, Don't want any wrinkles or anything, because we don't want it bleeding up in there. But actually this is going on pretty decent. Let's make sure that hopefully the lines will come out clean. There is a way of like doing the base coat and doing the next coat a little bit on the tape somehow, and then you go to pull it and it makes a cleaner line, but I'm not doing it that way. So now what do we do? I'll tell you what we do. Where'd my scissors go? I had my scissors somewhere. There they are. Now, these don't have to be extending out really at all. So this is going to get kind of in the way anyways. All this excess. We just want to not do that, but we just want to make sure that we get a somewhat clean line. So I can fold it over like that. It's not going to matter. We're just wanting to protect the fins. Just the fins. That's what we're worried about right now. And we're going to repeat for the next side. Okay, back to it. Got the other side done. It's looking somewhat pretty clean. Now we do the blue tape. Now I do have this, and this is pre-taped masking plastic. Basically the same consistency of like the bags that you'll find in a grocery, like a vegetable aisle at a supermarket. So I'm actually not going to worry about using this. I actually don't know how to use it, especially how to apply it on the fins. I mean, I can see where it can come in handy, but for this application it's not going to work. I just need the plastic. So this kind of just unravels like that, and then we'll do some cutting. This is probably going to drive a lot of you crazy, but this has worked for the other two fins, and hopefully it'll give me somewhat decent results. I'm going to cut it here. Probably doing something incredibly dumb right now and unnecessary, but that's what we do on this channel. Okay, now of course that bent over and stuck on itself anyways, because we're totally not using it for its intended use. So aha, and look, it unravels pretty long. So that's a straight line right there, and we just need it to be like right about there, and we're going to put the blue tape here. Okay, now and then we'll have to fold it over. We have to make it long enough to fold it over to the other side. So I'm thinking I have to kill my fan. This is making too much wind in here. It's kind of hard to work with this. What there's any wind. I imagine it'd be like trying to play with this stuff outside. Okay, so this should now be able to fold over, and we can probably cut it to size it up at least a little bit, but we're going to at least get one of the edges started. Now how long does it need to be? Okay, it can stay like that for now. I could probably even trim off just the end so it's not too long, so we'll have to worry about too much excess. And this doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be perfect. But I can kind of get rid of some of those edges and just kind of try to keep those edges clean and cleaner, and the big old tabs hanging out. Okay, so this is the straighter edge, and we just need to run it along right here. and we're going to take the blue tape to do this. So it needs to be right about so. Alright, before we move on, the green tape is frog tape, by the way, and this is just good old duct tape clean release. It's definitely got more of a stick to it. So if you gotta want cleaner lines, either this, and I think the next step after that is probably Tamiya. So that's why I'm using the blue tape over that. Now, if you don't like to take baths, now's your time to shine, literally, because you're probably greasy and your forehead's shining. So that's what I'm gonna do. I do take baths, but I'm gonna just put just a little bit on my forehead, kind of get some of that tackiness off. I know it sounds incredibly gross, but it works. So now it's not nearly as sticky, because we don't need it to be super sticky, just enough to tack the plastic down onto the fins, right? Okay. So we don't even have to go all the way down. Now, if I really wanted to, and I've seen some guy, somebody in the forums was talking about, they don't ever even worry about going all the way down to the edges. They like to, all their designs usually come up to here, and they ain't got to worry about clean edges. And I'm gonna tell you, they got some really nice paint jobs going on, so they're doing something right. They must know what they're talking about, at least somewhat. So I think we got that down. I can probably kind of fold that over if I wanted to, or not, but I know my jobs. This one's probably a little bit cleaner than the other one. They're both pretty horrible, and it's probably not going to work out anyways. But the good thing is we are going to do the light first on the body tube, the red, and then we'll take the black. So let's see what happens if we try to fold it over a little something something, maybe a little bit something like this. We only go down to here, and then this is curled up. Fold that out. I could probably try and work with this. Let's see where we can go from here. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I have not seen any videos that are really detailed in how to mask off fins. And if there's any out there, please point them to me, because I want to watch them, because I know this is a botched job. And there's a million other better ways of doing this, but this is what I can figure out. When you try to look up how to spray paint or how to mask off fins before painting, well, I'm not finding anything. I mean, I found some good spray paint videos, like how to spray paint, and I've learned a lot from that. And of course, talking to people in the forums, especially just, you know, for painting rockets in particular. But I watched a couple videos that were about spray painting, period, and they were actually pretty informative, I must say. Probably fold that like that, and that'll stick. All right. Okay, but you see, it's gonna get in this way. So I wonder. So now we're gonna Frankenstein this, and that came up. See, I didn't get too far down. Now I'm gonna Frankenstein this. Not a master, a master masker. See if I can just tack that down a little bit more. Let's give it a little bit. I just don't want it to go touching that. Hopefully this will help stick it down a little bit, because the plastic's actually up to like right about here. It's probably like maybe an 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 maybe. And let's see here. I could probably fold that over. Bring that back over like that, and we still got all this to worry about. Now, I'll tell you, if you double the tape over and stick it on itself, it is not nice to try to get it. Even if you do the old oil on the skin trick, it just like fuses to itself. It's pretty crazy. the green or the blue. I got a little piece right here just to kind of tuck that in a little bit. And we're not going to be spraying this in, we're going to be focusing on the body tube, so I'm just going to be spraying this way. And if it does get on the fins, oh well, because we'll go back over it with black, and it should cover up any of the red. Light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, right? Oh boy. Well, we'll see if we get any leaks. And hopefully, by the time I do paint this, there's no holes in that plastic, because it is pretty thin. Literally, like the vegetable bags you get in the grocery store. Or newspaper bag, that's another one. And I bet you if you do get a newspaper still, those bags, I guarantee, would come in handy for rocketry painting. Okay, this is it. This is what we got going on. And this may or may not have been necessary anyways. I probably could have totally left these alone, spray painted this red, then masked off the body, and just painted the fins black. Probably would have been just fine, but there it is. We'll come back when we're ready to paint it red.